Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Shit's about to hit the fan. Welcome to Unsanctioned Thursdays on Wrestling with Freddie.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Unsanctioned Thursdays, the show that you demanded because our shows aren't long enough. Or maybe they are long enough, you just hate commercials. Which I feel you on that. I mean, I fast forward and skip most of the time unless I had a cocktail. And then you kind of get lost in the sauce, right? And the commercial's on and you can skip things there, but you don't even press it until you have like 5 seconds left of the commercial. And you're like, I could have skipped this, but I forgot because martinis are good. All right, people. Welcome to Thursday. We're going to talk a little old school wrestling, and I'll give you a little update on the movie I just finished, which was just a great experience that I'll never forget. So here we go. Survivor Series just came and went, and it has always been my least favorite pay-per-view. So much so that I don't even think I should have to do an episode about it, but we're here anyway, not to bitch and complain, but to take you down memory lane and to remind you that Ahmed Johnson hated both the other team and his team. Here we go. The 1980s, otherwise known as the golden era of wrestling. Team Hogan versus Team Andre. Now, come on, this one, I guess it doesn't matter if there's no stories ever, because Hogan and Andre were the story. So everybody else you could just have in there. But the match was Hogan, Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful. He had the pile driver. He had a great body, great hair. Don Morocco, Ken Pitera, who I met as a little kid. He was friends with my godfather, Bob Wall. And he was also in strongman competitions. I met him at one of these strongman not a strongman competition, but it was like a charity event where a lot of strong men came. It was like this go-kart race with celebrities, and Lou Ferrigno was there. Ken Pitera was there. One of the Brady Bunch kids were there. Or no, it was the dad that was there. And they're going to do like a go-kart race, and Lou Ferrigno's fucking go-kart flips. And everyone's like, oh my God, what the hell? And I'm freaking out. I'm a kid, man. I don't know how old I was, but I was young. And all of a sudden you see this huge friggin' arm come out the side of the go-kart on the concrete and push the fucking cart. And the whole thing flips back over. With one arm, he did it. With one arm. And the thing still ran and just blah, 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 blah. And he took off again. I was a little kid. I was like, yo, he really is the fucking Hulk, man. It was crazy. Anyway, I met Ken Pitera. Bam Bam Bigelow was the last one on Hogan's team versus Andre's team. The one-man gang, dangerous wrestler. King Kong Bundy, you son of a bitch. Butch Reed, you better get out of here, dude. And Rick Rude, I can't talk shit about Rick Rude because he was pretty jacked and had like one of the best bodies in the history of professional wrestling. So shout out Rick Rude. This was the main event of the very first Survivor Series, and it capitalized on the massive Hogan versus Andre rivalry from WrestleMania 3, which is the only reason why it probably worked. And it established the 5-on-5 elimination format as a Thanksgiving tradition. I always was like, why are they fighting? Like, I never got it, right? But I always liked stories more than that. I liked knowing the history of Muhammad Ali and knowing about the fighter before he fought anybody. But like the Joe Frazier story and the hate, or it wasn't really hate, but the projected hate and the perceived hate that we thought existed between the two of them made that fight more interesting. So that's kind of where I come from when I say I want stories, is because the old boxing fights always had stories. So that was theirs, and they started it, so they get a shout out. The 90s, the new generation, and the Attitude Era. The Dream Team versus the $1 Million Team. And let me tell you, it's pretty great billing. Pretty great billing. Like it very much. The match was Dusty Rhodes. Gotta love Dusty, baby. Coco Beware with his little parrot, Frankie. Not a parrot. What was that? A macaw. Thank you. I don't know who told me that. I don't know why I said thank you. Bret Hart with the worst sunglasses in the history of professional wrestling. Don Callis will vouch for that because he's got the top sunglasses in the game today. And Jim Neidhart, of course, because they rolled together, versus Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. Met him when I was a little kid because he was friends with my uncle, this dude they called Judo Gene LaBelle. And he wasn't my blood uncle, but he was my godfather's best friend, and he introduced himself as Uncle Gene, so I always just called him Uncle Gene. But Gene was a judo champion. They wrote a book about him called The Most Dangerous Man in the World because he was. He had two tendons everywhere you and I have one. So I want you to look at your thumb right now. Just give yourself a thumbs up and look at the back of it. You'll see you have 2 tendons there that connect your thumb to your wrist, and that helps it bend and flex, right? He had 4. So when he grabs you, it's over. The fight is over. Oh, and he knew judo. Like, even if he didn't know judo and he got his hands on you, you're dunzos. Now he's got double tendon strength and he's a judoka. So yeah, that was your ass. I met him at Ted DiBiase at Gene's dojo in Southern California. They were doing a seminar on like submissions, and there was an old poster of it that was in there like decades later. And I remember seeing it being like, oh yeah, I met him when I was a little kid. Greg Valentine was his second, the Honky Tonk Man, and a mystery partner. The mystery partner was revealed to be The Undertaker. And this match marked the on-screen debut of arguably the greatest character and attraction wrestler in history. Attraction wrestlers are far and few between, but he was for sure the best. The latest was the late, great Bray Wyatt, in my opinion. Ironically enough, it was also the debut of the Gobbledygooker, which was the worst idea in the history of wrestling. Well, maybe the Brawl for All was the worst because dudes got hurt. But creatively speaking, the Gobbledygooker. All right, next up, Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. One of the greatest matches of all time. 1996, standard singles match for the number 1 contender to the WWF Championship. Everybody loves this match. Nobody's ever been like, yeah, but it's overrated. Like, nobody said that. And if they did, they were shamed the way people should still be shamed today. You have to put a scarlet letter across your chest. A D for dummy, for dumbass, for saying something so stupid. Awesome match. This was also led to the legendary battle in 1997, the Crimson Mask, where Stone Cold is just like bleeding everywhere. Crazy. Also, 1997, we got Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. It's funny how Bret Hart's in all these amazing matches. Weird. I know people say he complains too much, but maybe he is one of the greatest to ever do it. He just knows it, and you just don't like that he knows it. I guess it would kind of be like if an actor won an Academy Award and was like, yes, I am the greatest. Yes, you probably hate that guy too. All right, we got the early 2000s. This was like prime time me not liking Survivor Series. We had Team WWF versus the Alliance. This was The Rock, Chris Jericho, Taker, Kane, and The Big Show versus Stone Cold, Kurt Angle, Van Damme, Booker T, and Shane McMahon. That's Rob Van Dam. Jean-Claude was never a professional wrestler because he couldn't handle it. You little punk ass bitch. You couldn't handle pro wrestling, bro. With that ballet. Get out of here. Yo, Jean-Claude Van Damme and Steven Seagal got called out by the original Dirty Dozen, like the first black belts that ever graced the cover of Black Belt magazine. And they would challenge them to fight all the time, not to the death or anything, but just to fight to see, let's spar. Let's see if you're as good as Bruce was. Let's see if you're as good as Chuck is. And they would never do it because they knew they'd get exposed. And Steven Seagal one time said, I'll only fight to the death. And all 12 of the Dirty Dozen said, yeah, all right. That was it. They were, yeah, okay. They never fought him. He never wanted that fight. He didn't want that heat. And if there's any defenders of Seagal or Van Damme out there, you can shout us out on social media. Good luck. All right, you guys. Survivor Series 2002 is famously one of the few times in history that the event did not feature a traditional 5-on-5 or 4-on-4 Survivor Series elimination tag team match. It is a rare anomaly in the event's history. Instead of the classic format, WWE filled the card with other types of elimination matches, like the Elimination Chamber, Elimination Tables match, and the Triple Threat Elimination Tag match. Are you seeing the theme here? Are you starting to see why I was like, I'm not loving Survivor Series. Anyway, that's our episode on Survivor Series, but it's not the end of the episode. So I've been gone for a while, about a month. I appreciate your patience, your tolerance, your love and support. But I'm also an actor, and these are both full-time jobs. And sometimes one has to suffer over the other. And so sorry for having to go, but I also have to show my kids that it's important to chase your dreams. My daughter wants to be an actor, so it's important to set a good example for her, so she can see the sacrifice, the time away from your family, the time committing yourself to a character and sort of stepping outside yourself and stepping into that character, behaving like that person and not being the same guy right away when you talk to him. It takes time to adjust. That sounds like artsy BS, but that's just the way it goes for certain types of actors. There's different types, right? There's like Meisner, the Method, there's the Shop, like all these different techniques. The Shop is like the simplest. They just say like, look up the definition of act, and it says to do. So just do it. Method is sort of stepping outside yourself and becoming the character, making life choices that the character would make. This guy doesn't drink, so for a month, I'm not going to drink. Not difficult to do, but still, it's just a choice that I made to kind of feel more like the dude, right? And I thought it was important because the script was so special. We shot in Tulsa, Oklahoma, lovely town, reminded me of Albuquerque, New Mexico, a lot like Albuquerque, New Mexico, just minus the southwestern culture, the adobe and the Mexican culture. Although there's a lot of Mexicans in Oklahoma, and the Mexican food better than the barbecue. I'm just going to put that out there. The Mexican food was better than the barbecue. Now, granted, maybe I'm not an Oklahoma barbecue sauce guy. You know, maybe I'm a more Texas barbecue dude, but the Mexican food, way better in Oklahoma than in Texas. It's not even close. Not even close. And I thought I'd be the only dude that could speak a lick of Spanish out there. And there were Spanish speakers everywhere. So the food, pretty good. But anyway, I read this script and it was called The Road to Recovery. And no, it's not a drug addict's road to recovery. It's a little girl, a 15-year-old girl with brain cancer. And it's her road to recovery. And I play her father. And it's basically a two-hander, this movie. Just me and her on a road trip. Maybe she'll get 6 months, maybe she'll get 6 years. We don't know. But a really painful movie to play and a difficult role for me, especially. I don't normally do like a method approach. I came up at the Shop with Andrew McGarrian and John Homa, and they teach a much more simple, like, just fucking do it, Freddie. Just do it. Know your lines, have a point of view, have motivation, know what your challenge is, know what the obstacle is, right? The challenge. And how does your character approach said challenge? Do they smash through it? Do they sneak their way around it? Do they run away from it? Do they leap over it? Whatever it is, that you just stay true to that, right? And that's how I always approached rom-coms. But this was different. And this felt like it needed a greater level of commitment. And so I just kind of stepped inside and wanted to see how it felt. And it felt horrible. But it was the best work that I was ever capable of doing. So it was this strange, and I spoke with a friend of mine who's a method actor and a really talented one. And he's actually an Academy Award winner. And I spoke to him about just sort of how to do this and how to live it. And that's what he said. He was like, you just have to live it. If he doesn't drink, you don't drink. They were all the whole cast and crew were going to go to a Billie Eilish concert. And he was like, my character's name's Tom. And I was talking to him. I was like, I don't think I should go. And he's like, would Tom go? That's the character's name. I was like, no, Tom doesn't have any friends. Like, his whole life is his daughter. He's like, then you shouldn't go. So I didn't go, man. I missed out on a concert that was really good. Everybody had a good time. But that was sort of the discipline that was necessary in my mind to give the performance that this guy deserved. And it was a ton of fun. I loved every moment of this movie. And I got to work with great people like Thomas Lennon. I don't know if you guys remember that show, Reno 911, but he was Dangle. And he's also a great writer as well and wrote a lot of that show. I got to work with him, which was wonderful. I got to work with Sarah Shahi, who's worked with The Rock and been in a bunch of other movies as well. And Ryan Kira Armstrong, who's the lead. That was the girl who played my daughter. She was on that Star Wars show with Jude Law. And she booked the lead role on my wife's Buffy remake. And I just think she's wonderful and one of those old souls that's in a young person's body. Like when you see those young child actors and you're like, oh my God, they seem like they're 60 years old. It's one of those kids, right? Where they're just wise beyond their years. And the director was Taylor Scout Compton. She was a child actor, so she knows how to, and she's a grown up actor too. But she really knows how to communicate with actors, so trust was easy to develop between the two of us. And she wrote the script as well, based on personal experiences with her father when he was battling cancer. And I just thought it was a wonderful story that I had to do. And that's why I had to leave for a month, and leave you guys, leave my podcast, leave my family, leave my dogs, leave my 2 cool cars, leave my neighborhood, leave my house, leave everything that I love and that I'm comfortable with, and go to a tiny little hotel in Tulsa and just be alone and take walks in the cold and the rain. I make it sound so sad, but it was a great experience, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, man. It was wonderful. And I've talked about this when we have guests on, especially in season 2, where I would say, I have these guests on a lot to inspire people to not quit on their dreams, because no matter how long it takes, you can eventually get there. People quit, give up, and you move up the list just by necessity, because there's less people dreaming. So don't give up on your dreams. Keep chasing them, and keep listening to this show. We'll see you next Wednesday. Peace.